Hello everyone, I'm Karis. Ever have a conversation that turns into an argument? The argument lasts for hours. Argument is just not stopping. Well, we're definitely going to chat about that. Also, Venus is quite serious this week. Her resting face is making me a little bit nervous. Venus, that is usually all smiles and giggles and pleasure and pleasing. She's not looking happy this week. We'll definitely discuss that astrologically. We are approaching the full moon in Taurus, ruled by Venus. Venus is highlighted this week for a variety of different reasons. And we also have the big daddy of them all, Saturn, is finally stationing direct in the sign of Pisces. So much starry stuff to talk about in the night sky this week. Let's get to it. I am starcasting to you from the City of Angels. Hello, everyone. I'm Karis. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. This is your astrology cosmic superpower for the week beginning Sunday, November 10th through Saturday, November 16th, 2024. Let's journey together with astrology and explore how to connect with the stars, the planets, the energies for our new week ahead. The enchanting night sky does start off on Sunday, November 10th, with the waxing gibbous moon near Saturn. The moon will occult Saturn, which means to pass in front of Saturn. Also, the bright star Formulo, which is very often referred to as the loneliest star, is one of the royal watchers. Formulo is the guardian of the southern sky, and it seems to light up a large stretch of the night sky all by itself, and it's very often used to navigate. Formulo is in the most southern part of Pisces, the fish. Also, sometimes Saturn's rings are seen as open from the Earth's perspective, and sometimes they appear to us as an edgewise. The rings are closing now, and by March of 2025, they'll be so perfectly edgewise that for a time from our perspective, they will disappear. November 12th, don't miss this, because Venus, the queen of the night sky, is shining near a mysterious glow. So brilliant Venus, you can't miss her in the night sky, our sister planet. She is shining low above the southwestern horizon on November 12th, about an hour after sunset. And just above Venus, there will lie the mysterious star-forming nebula. Now, a nebula is basically a nursery. It's filled with stardust and other things that eventually create and give birth to new stars. Now, to see this distinct glow of the nebula nursery, you do need binoculars for this. But if your skies are clear, you don't want to miss this light shining and glowing above Venus. On November 14th, the moon reaches its perigee, which is the closest point in its elliptical orbit around the Earth. This is the last of 4 super moons in a row for 2024. The exact moment of the full moon takes place on November 15th. And again, this is the last of 4 super full moons that we've had in a row. Now, the full moon will also be close to the Pleiades star cluster, and also look for the fiery orange star Aldebaran in the eye of Taurus, the bull, close to Jupiter. The 7 original planets used in astrology, or the OGs as I call them, that you can see without aid of binoculars or telescope, just like the first original astrologers did, they are lined up as we start off the week. There'll be a lot of changes, but the 7 originals start off the week with the sun in fixed water Scorpio, the moon in mutable water Pisces, Mercury is in its detriment in mutable fire Sagittarius, Venus starts off in mutable fire Sagittarius, Mars is now very strong in Leo, a friendly, fiery, fixed triplicity, Jupiter is still retrograde in Gemini, and also we start off with Saturn still retrograde in the sign of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. Sunday, November 10th, we have the moon in mutable water Pisces. Pisces, the ocean of emotion. And Pisces, the moon in Pisces, is making a square aspect of action to Mercury in its detriment in Sagittarius. The moon is really wanting and needing and having a conversation that can turn into an argument, that can turn into a fight. Jupiter doesn't know when to quit. It doesn't recognize boundaries. Both Pisces and Sagittarius are ruled by Jupiter. So for a few hours, about 3 hours, we've got this discussion, argument, heated argument, potential fight taking place, because not knowing when to stop the conversation. It's like this. You've made your point, you've said your piece, but then there is a time to end the conversation. And this conversation that keeps growing and building, the moon is waxing in light, it's growing in power. We are approaching the full moon, which means the energy is intensifying. It's condensing. Now this moon square Mercury, it gets stopped by the big daddy of them all, Saturn, which is the law. The moon makes a conjunction to Saturn, which says, stop now. This is the potential of you're having a debate, an argument, and then a neighbor or somebody else calls the authorities and says, okay, this debate discussion is getting too heated, too intense. It's time to break this up and stop this conversation, argument from going and going and going. This is the moon conjunct Saturn. Saturn brings us limitations, restrictions. Saturn also loves to get the bad guy. Saturn is the greater malefic in astrology. So it's one thing to have a conversation, a discussion, a disagreement, but when it just keeps building and building and potentially could turn into something else, then this is where the moon conjunct Saturn stops the conversation, meaning Saturn, before it escalates out of hand. With the moon conjunct Saturn, just know when to quit. Or if you yourself hear something where it's like, okay, this argument has been going on for 3 hours, it's not stopping, then you yourself might get the feeling, well, maybe I should tell these people to maybe I should tell these people or call someone and say, you know, the party's got to break up, so to speak. This fight has to not take place, and it doesn't. So this is how we're starting off on November 10th. Monday, November 11th, we now have Venus changing signs. Now, Venus is not happy, to say the least, because when Venus moves into cardinal Earth Capricorn, this is why I was saying earlier that Venus's resting face is not looking happy and pleased. Venus is quite serious. Because with Venus, the planet of love and beauty and relationship, going into very stoic, serious Capricorn, what changes this week is that in the area of love, relationship, marriage, Venus wants to know, and Venus will be in Capricorn for several weeks. Venus wants to know, where is this relationship going? Saturn draws the line. It puts up the boundaries. So Venus in Capricorn is, okay, we've been together, we've been dating forever, for instance. Is this going to go anywhere? A lot of people in relationship want to know, what are we together? Is this exclusive? Is this happy-go-lucky Sagittarius, Venus in Sagittarius, where you're having fun, but you don't want the responsibility? You're just kind of palling around. Venus in Sagittarius. Venus in Sag is more the friends with benefits kind of thing. This is not Venus in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn goes to the top and achieves success. one of the conversations that is beginning to take place will be with Venus in Capricorn. Does this work? Is this a power couple? Is this a successful relationship? Where is this going? Just like the sign of Capricorn, the goat, the greatest of all time, that scales to the top of the mountain. I've said this so many times, but if you ever get a chance to watch mountain goats scale the side of a mountain, they're basically hanging off a cliff just about to get to the top of the mountain, and every movement they make is very determined and considerably thought out. So obviously that they don't fall, but to get to the top. So the Venus in Capricorn with your relationship, whatever the status is right now, the Venus in Capricorn wants to know, how are we defining this? Is this a great relationship? Capricorn's very down to earth, practical, common sense. Capricorn is also a cardinal sign of the zodiac, one of the seasons, one of the months of the year when we usher in a new time together. So Capricorn is the winter solstice as we go into winter. In other words, Capricorn, the Venus in Capricorn, is initiating, where is this relationship headed? Does it work? Is it successful? That's all the Capricorn. And is it a great relationship? Now, Capricorn is also correspondent to winter time. And during the winter, when it's cold and things aren't growing pretty much, and we have to store up and hold on to things for the harsh weather ahead, Capricorn wants to know, the Venus in Capricorn wants to know, will we be there for each other when times are tough? When life gets hard? Venus in Capricorn, are we going to have each other's backs? Is this a ride or die? Or is it still the Venus in Sagittarius, which is, yeah, it's a blast, we're having fun, but when the hard times hit and there are responsibilities, see you later. Venus in Sag, ruled by Jupiter, as something goes wrong, it's the other guy's problem, pretty much. But Venus in Capricorn is a completely different cosmic power. Know where Venus in Capricorn is now entering your chart this week, because Capricorn does not play. Capricorn is wisdom, it's serious. This is with the planet of love and beauty and marriage. We're getting into December, end of the year, the winter time, literally. And so the Venus in Capricorn is looking at all relationships, but the love relationship, wanting to know, demanding to know, I would say, this isn't play anymore. What's happening in this relationship? What are the rules of the road? We've been saying a lot of goodbyes as Pluto wraps up its stay in Capricorn for the next hundreds of years. We're getting ready to enter the Pluto in fixed air Aquarius. And some of the goodbyes, one of them on Monday is the moon in Pisces, making a sextile aspect to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, the moon in Pisces making this aspect of opportunity, there's potential here with the moon in Pisces making a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, this aspect of the last moon in Pisces aspecting Pluto in Capricorn is the potential to adapt and heal things in the area of what needs to be put to rest at this time, what needs to heal. The feminine elements of earth and water are very introspective and healing elements in astrology. We've talked about the Saturn retrograde in Pisces, which we're going to get to in this podcast. The moon and not knowing when to quit with the moon in Pisces, making the sextile aspect to Pluto in Capricorn, is the potential healing and awareness of how we started off the week with the moon in Pisces making that square to Mercury in Sagittarius, which is, you've said your piece, you've made your point, you've hashed out the discussion for hours? When are you not able to let it go? So the potential here, the positive potential, is the moon in Pisces knowing when to quit with this 60-degree angle to Pluto in Capricorn. For instance, I'm discussing this now with an astrology client of mine. The astrology client of mine, a man, got involved with a female where she feels one way about him, obsessed basically, moon in Pisces. He doesn't feel the same way. They made an agreement right from the get-go of what the relationship was about. She's not letting it go emotionally. The man told her straight up right from the beginning, this is what this is. It's not going towards marriage and happily ever after kind of thing. This is directly connected to the moon saying goodbye, the moon in Pisces, saying goodbye to Pluto in Capricorn with the potential to release and heal and let go the emotional obsessions, addictions, where it's been made very clear to you that one person does not feel, will never feel the same way that you do, and it's time to heal it and release it. Now, this is just one example. There are many different examples, of course, in life. This moon in Pisces, healing what you can't let go of emotionally, even though it's been made very clear to you that the object of your obsession, desire, does not feel the same way back. There are many ways that this can play out in your astrology chart. This is just one example. Tuesday, November 12th, we've got the moon entering the baby of the zodiac, the first sign, Aries, cardinal fire Aries. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, there is a nebula, a nursery, getting ready to give birth to new stars right above the planet Venus. Now, the moon in Aries makes a square aspect to Venus in Capricorn, and this is the square aspect of wanting the new excitement. Moon in Aries, making that square to Venus in Capricorn now. Both cardinal signs of the zodiac saying, okay, who's the boss here? Who's running the show? With the moon in Aries, wanting new excitement, fire. Let's move into the future. Needing to move into the future. This is the moon in Aries. With that square to the Venus in Capricorn, which is not without some type of reassurance, not without some type of security and guarantee about just what is this relationship. So this is the moon square Venus on Tuesday, as Venus is getting ready, or is right as Venus is highlighting right above her new stars getting ready to be born. Now, the moon in Aries also on the 12th is making a fire trine flow to Mars in Leo. This is the excitement, the action, Mars in Leo, of thinking big, looking to the future, taking action. The moon in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, with Mars in Leo, is I'm taking action and moving forward. Whether it's on your own or with a partner, you're moving forward. Mercury in Sagittarius makes a square aspect to Saturn in Pisces, and of course Mercury in Sagittarius, its detriment, is still talking and still debating from the day before, just won't let it go. And finally Mercury makes that square to Saturn, and Saturn is enough already. Now you're going to have to stop the conversation. The moon in Aries makes a fire trine flow to Mercury in Sagittarius. So the moon in Aries is a little bit mischievous here. It's poking at the Mercury in Sagittarius, kind of getting a kick out of Mercury in Sagittarius, making a fool out of itself. But, you know, that's the newborn baby Aries having fun and playing and not taking it all too seriously. Certainly not as seriously as Capricorn, which takes everything very seriously. On November 13th, there is yet another goodbye, so the new can come in, And on the 13th, we have the moon in Aries making a square for the last time, for a long time, to Pluto in Capricorn. This is yet another aspect of not only who is the boss, both cardinal signs of the zodiac, but the moon is really saying here that the old ways, Pluto in Capricorn, the things that have been being dismantled, the structures, the traditions, the way it has always been, the moon in Aries is saying, I need something new and exhilarating now. And I'm saying goodbye to you, Pluto in Capricorn. Your time has arrived. Aries is very independent and strong, ruled by Mars. Aries has no problem at all going like the pioneer across the plains. Aries has no problem at all saying, I will go my own way and establish my own independence. Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, says, I've got to be me. I am me. What else can you be but your own unique individual self? So the moon in Aries does say goodbye to Pluto in Capricorn. Later on the 13th, we have the moon exalted in the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus. We are now almost at that exact moment of the full moon in Taurus. So with the moon going into her exaltation in the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus, and we are approaching the exact moment of the 4 super full moons in a row that we've been having. The moon's desire to have it all and then some. Moon in Taurus exalted is never satisfied. It depends on how the energy is directed. Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is love, creativity, the artist. So the moon exalted in Taurus with Venus now in Capricorn is very serious, not only about the love and marriage relationship, but how you yourself are the artist and creator of your own life. This energy can be quite productive and fruitful. On November 14th, the moon in Taurus makes a square aspect to Mars in Leo. Now, Taurus and Leo, they're two of what are called the feral signs of the zodiac, the wild beasts, wild and free. Aries, Taurus, Leo, and Sagittarius. There is a component to those signs of the zodiac that will never be domesticated in a certain sense. So with that natural nature, what I'm calling the feral signs of the zodiac, the moon exalted in Taurus, with Venus very serious about what is this together. One of the things that is being brought into the light with the full moon is, what is your true nature? What is the true nature of your love interest, partner, and knowing your true nature and being true to your nature is very much highlighted this week, connected to, because it's all connected to Venus wanting to know the success or not of the relationship. Venus is about the body and the law of attraction, and when you feel relaxed and overall happy and joyful in the body and in life and all the joyful pleasures of life. So the moon exalted now, making this square action aspect to Mars in Leo, which is Mars and Leo's, we've got to do something now. We're both different animals, perhaps. It's like this. Let's say you relate to being a bird totem, for instance, but you're with someone that has a wolf totem. In other words, think of nature and think of your own true nature. And what is the nature not only of yourself, but what is the nature of your partner? And how does that bring harmony, which Venus wants always, ultimately, just peace and harmony. But how do these two animals in nature, in their natural nature, get along? Do they make peace or constant conflict? This will be brought into the awareness as the moon accepts the full light of the sun, and we are approaching the full culmination of the full moon exalted in Taurus. Now, the moon is our satellite. It's a mirror. It mirrors back to us the true self-image, the inner image that we hold of ourselves. So this reflective time of what is my true nature and what is my partner's true nature? Are they a match? Do they create peace and harmony, success? Or are we just two different animals that just can't make this successful and work? Also on the 14th, the moon in Taurus makes an Earth trine flow to Venus in Capricorn. That is that support and harmony of working through this, becoming aware of how the moon, what you need, gets along and is in harmony with Venus, which is not only the love and relationship, but Venus is the joy and happiness of life and the happiness in the relationship that you're in. If you're not in a relationship, then the moon in Taurus trine Venus is that supportive aspect of doing something about getting very grounded earth element, about finding and having the love that you want and need and would love to have. What is life without love? Friday, November 15th, finally we have Saturn stationing direct in the sign of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. Now, the Saturn retrograde in Pisces is the energy of getting in touch with what addictions a person has that is blocking them from making their dream come true. Addictions are not always drugs and alcohol. You could be addicted to an emotion, Pisces, an addiction to sadness, grief, anger, the past. The moon is memories, the subconscious imprints. So this excavation of what has been holding you back, what has become an addiction from making your dreams come true. Now Saturn is stationing direct. Saturn is saying, okay, we've had the exploration and reflection, but now I'm moving forward. Saturn, a slow-moving planet, it rules over lead and time in astrology. So now it is time, Saturn stationing direct, where Saturn in Pisces, let's build the building blocks and take the necessary steps to make the dream, the vision, whatever that is for your life. Let's now ground this and turn it into a reality and a day-to-day way of living. It's not just up in the dreamy, emotional realms of Pisces. We're making this real now. That's the Saturn stationing direct. As we close out the week, then things can lighten up a bit. The moon moves into mutable air Gemini, which is it's time for a change. It's air. Now we can have a pleasant conversation about the future and what we are building and creating as a reality. The sun in Scorpio makes an opposition to Uranus in Taurus. Now, Scorpio and Taurus, they're not only joint money signs, but they're signs that have to do with talents and abilities and what it is that you value. So as we end this week, and we have an opposition, which is a separation, involving the planet Uranus, which is a sudden and abrupt move that seems to look like, oh, that came out of left field. When did that happen? It's a complete 180. It's a complete turnaround. Then as we close out this very intense week, the Sun opposition Uranus in Taurus is it's time to separate from something or someone in your life where it's completely aware now with the full culmination of the full moon that we don't share the same values and talents. Also, it's I'm not being true to my nature. I'm not being true to myself. It's been building towards this as we approach the full moon. Venus is kicking off the week with, not happy. Things aren't going the way you want them to go, and you're done being foolish and just playful about it with that Venus in Sagittarius. Now it's let's get really real in the area of love. And then as we approach the full moon and have the moment of the full moon in Taurus, and that Sun opposition Uranus as we close out the week on the 16th, it is yet another ending, so a new beginning can begin. When we know our true nature and are true to it, it not only brings Venus peace, it brings peace of mind when you accept who and what you are, when you know basically overall what your nature is, the lifestyle that you want to live and create, and that feeling of your life fits, your life is right for you. May not be right for everybody else. Everybody else has their own star to follow, but it's right for you. And what a week as we are really approaching that last moment of Pluto leaving Capricorn and moving into Aquarius, which is freedom, independence. So it's goodbyes, but it's also beginnings. And with this full moon in Taurus ruled by Venus, the light and the awareness will be there for you to know what this means and what this is, not only in your personal astrology chart, but in your life. Thank you, everyone, for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. I will see you all in the stars. Have a fabulous week. Thank you.